Family, I know you all are doing great because y'all are beautiful people. I really appreciate you all. And I'm sending you all lots of love. Mwah. We're going to finish this up with the first part of the accomplishments of Black America.
Was the real threat, not just the money, the confidence, the pride, the refusal to accept second-class status. In Greenwood, children attended schools with new textbooks. Families went to movie theaters that showed the latest films. Women shopped in stores with the newest fashions. Men gathered in pool halls and discussed business deals. Churches hosted community meetings where people debated local issues and planned for the future. This was normal life. Black people living normal, prosperous lives, building futures, making plans, dreaming big dreams. But normal wasn't what America wanted for Black.
So look how our family, how our ancestors dressed. We always dressed it nice, always set a trend. Look at our children. They try to show us in movies as dirty, barefooted, raggedy. They show some movies, but most of they push at we was always slavery. They don't show this a lot. But this was our ancestors also. This is a part of our story.
People. Prosperity wasn't what the system was designed to allow. And when Black communities succeeded anyway, when they built their own power structures, when they created their own wealth, the response was swift, because these Black capitals represented something white supremacy couldn't tolerate. They represented proof that the entire racial hierarchy was a lie. They represented a future where Black people controlled their own destiny. They represented power, and power, once gained, is rarely surrendered without a fight. Before we proceed, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are listening from. The fight to destroy Black power didn't start with laws, it started with fire. On the morning of May 31st, 1921, a young Black man named Dick Rowland stepped into an elevator in downtown Tulsa. The operator was a white woman named Sarah Page. What happened in that elevator remains unclear. Maybe he stumbled, maybe he stepped on her foot, maybe nothing happened at all, but Sarah screamed. By that afternoon, a white mob had gathered outside the courthouse where police were holding Dick. The crowd wanted blood. They wanted a lynching. Black men from Greenwood heard what was happening. They armed themselves and went to protect Dick. They believed in the law. They believed their presence would prevent violence. They were wrong. Shots were fired. Nobody knows who fired first. It didn't matter. The white mob saw armed Black men defending a Black suspect, and that was enough. By nightfall, thousands of white residents had grabbed guns and headed toward Greenwood. What happened next wasn't a riot. It was a massacre. White mobs swept through Greenwood like an invading army. They broke into homes and dragged families into the streets. They shot Black men on sight. They set buildings on fire. Block by block, they burned Black Wall Street to the ground.
This is what we explain to immigrants. You are just feeling a tad bit, a nidget of what foundation of Black Americans, Black American Indians, and the Israelites have been going through since the white man landed on our land. So don't ever say we next. We are the first to experience racism, and we still experiencing it, and we still going through, and they're still unaliving us in the streets and on trees and in the rivers. So we have to focus on our future, our children's future. Let's finish.
It got worse, much worse. The next morning, private planes flew over Greenwood. Witnesses watched as the planes dropped firebombs and shot at people running through the streets. This wasn't random violence. This was organized destruction. This was war against American citizens on American soil. By June 1st, Greenwood was gone. Over 300 Black people were dead. Some estimate.
So you see, This is why we want our reparations. We want our 40 acres and a mule. Because who you think were flying those planes? The government had a lot to do with foundation of Black American Indians, and Black Israelites downfall. So see how they're attacking American citizens? So you think this is something new? However, the same people that we fought to get here, y'all became part of white supremacists and sided with them. But this is why we want our reparations from the government. They did nothing about it, or they assisted in the sabotage of Black Wall Street, Greenwood, and all the other rich communities that were sabotaged. The government owe us.
Say the number was higher. Bodies were thrown into mass graves. Others were dumped in the Arkansas River. More than 8,000 Black residents were left homeless. Every single business was destroyed. The hospitals, the schools, the churches, the theaters, all of it. Ashes. And the survivors? They were arrested. Not the white mob members who burned the city. The Black people who lost everything were rounded up and held in detention camps. They were forced to carry green cards to move around their own city. Many were held for days without charges. Nobody was prosecuted for the massacre. Not one person. The Tulsa newspapers called it a race riot. They blamed the Black community for defending themselves. They said Greenwood had it coming, and then, slowly, they stopped talking about it altogether. Photos disappeared. Records vanished. The story was buried. But Tulsa wasn't the only place where Black prosperity was met with white violence. 2 years later, in January 1923, a similar lie sparked another massacre. In Rosewood, Florida, a white woman named Fannie Taylor claimed a Black man had attacked her. No evidence, no witnesses, just an accusation. White mobs from nearby towns descended.
That's why we talk about white woman tears have destroyed countries, cities, and definitely foundation of Black American Indians, and Black Israelites. A lot of Black men that went down behind white tears.
On Rosewood, they went house to house, hunting for Black residents. They killed men in front of their families. They burned homes with people still inside. They shot anyone who tried to run. The Black residents of Rosewood fought back. They held off the mob for days, hiding their children in the swamps while they defended their homes. But they were outnumbered. The mob kept coming. More white men arrived from surrounding counties. They brought more guns, more torches. By January 7th, Rosewood was gone. The entire town, every building burned, every family scattered. Survivors fled into the woods.
Please look at these pictures. There are no immigrants involved in this struggle, in this fight. Stop spewing white supremacist verbiage. Y'all did not build America, and y'all did not fight for the rights for everyone in America. My ancestors did.
Woods and never came back. The town was erased from maps. For decades, it was as if Rosewood had never existed. And again, nobody was punished. The state of Florida didn't even investigate. These weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a pattern. Between 1890 and 1940, dozens of Black communities were attacked and destroyed. Wilmington, North Carolina, East St. Louis, Illinois, Elaine, Arkansas, Ocoee, Florida. The list goes on. Each time the pattern was the same. Black people built something. They created wealth. They gained independence. And white mobs, often supported by local police and government officials, burned it down. But the violence wasn't the only weapon. Sometimes the destruction was quieter, more legal, more permanent.
We are the builders. We are the inventors of America.
1950s, the federal government launched a program
the original ones,
called Urban Renewal. The official goal was to eliminate slums and modernize American cities. The reality was different. The program targeted thriving Black neighborhoods and labeled them as blighted. It didn't matter